This is Gentry Humphrey, International GM for Jordan, and you're locked into TheShoeGame.com exclusive.
What's going on, people? G-Rock here, TSG, TheShoeGame.com. I'd like to say good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Gentleman sitting to my left, dude, does he really need an introduction at this point? It's Mr. Gentry Humphrey, aka G-Money, also known as Mr. Jordan Brand. Gentry, how you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. Thank you. Appreciate you guys having me out here to holla at you.
Oh yeah, most definitely, most definitely. How you been doing? What you been up to?
You know, it's all good. I mean, right now, I'm kind of in between a little bit of vacation time and a little bit of work time. I'm not traveling abroad, so it's all good right now.
Okay. Cool. So we're gonna jump right into it. Nordstrom, right? Yeah. Retail. Just tell us the storyline about how you even got into everything that led up to working for Jordan.
My story starts off by being a young kid who was really, really interested in kind of sports, number one, and then actually, without even knowing it, kind of the fashion world. I think when I was a little kid, my mom used to always tell me that she never used to have to set out my clothes like most kids, my parents had to do for the kids. I was young.
Already picking your stuff out.
Yeah, I was young. One time I wanted to be a cowboy, I wanted to be a basketball player, I wanted to be a football player, whatever it was, I had outfits for it, and I would hook up my outfits daily. It was nothing for me to change clothes 3 times a day as a little kid. And I think looking back on it, I think that had a lot of, it had an impression on what I was going to do in the future. But the love of sports was first and foremost, and a kid that loved the game of basketball in particular, you couldn't tell me growing up as a kid that I wasn't going to be a professional basketball player. I was the guy that dribbled the rock all the way through campus. I mean, you heard me coming before you saw me coming because I was pounding the rocks. And basketball became my passion. And as I went to college, I played college at a community college in Southern California. And was there where I went to a school where the offense was set up where we had a big dude. We had a guy named Mark Eaton, but we just threw it into the post. He was 7'2", and so he
had to jump. He
just turned around and do his thing. So basketball was my love, but at some point I realized that I wasn't going to make it to the league as a player, and I started working to go to school. I went to school at Cal State Fullerton and Cal State Dominguez Hills, and going through school, I had to pay for my way through school, so I started working. I worked at Nordstrom, and Nordstrom was great because I walked in there and it was a shoe store, and the store that I worked in was really kind of a dress shoes and casual shoes, and I just loved kind of just the shoe world. So it was there where I kind of blended my love for a game of basketball and love of shoes to make things happen. Started off in the stock room, became a sales guy, became the top salesperson. They asked me to be a buyer for the store. As a buyer, I brought my love for sport to the store. I was a guy who developed a sports or athletic division for Nordstrom. And from there, basically, it was working with all the athletic companies that came in to create a nice portfolio with the Nordstrom organization. And that all kind of just spiraled into kind of what I'm doing now. The president of Nike right now, he was my sales representative, so he called on my store as a buyer, and it was kind of funny. He saw my love and passion for the brand, and eventually asked me to kind of take over and become a sales rep, and then one thing led to another.
So how long have you been with the brand?
Well, so with Jordan, the brand was official in like 97, 98. So ever since then, but I've had a relationship with Michael probably for almost 20 years now. So even when Jordan was a part of the Nike basketball portfolio, I worked with the brand through Nike basketball.
How did you end up meeting Jordan before and prior to working with Jordan Brand?
Actually, my first experience was at a basketball camp. Michael was a camp down in Southern California for kids, and I had a chance to
Cross them over?
No, my first encounter with him was real interesting. I was actually late for a meeting because he gave me some bad directions. And so before I even said hello to Michael, I was like, man, you gave him some poor directions on how to get here. And he was, we had our own little banter, but it was a good relationship from the beginning.
So when you got hired with the brand, what was your current position on your title when you got hired with Jordan Brand?
Well, officially, when I first started off with the brand, I was a product line manager. But when the brand really kicked off, I mean, I wore a ton of hats. I mean, I really kind of had to be the sports marketing guy because, we dealt with certain athletes. We introduced the first basketball athletes in the brand. We had Ray Allen, Derek Anderson, Ben Baker, Mike. We had, a small core of guys, but, to find out what we wanted to provide by way of products for those guys, I had to always meet with them. So I became kind of the sports relations, sports marketing guy in a lot of ways. I had to do a little bit of be the liaison between our sales team and our product marketing team. So I mean, I had a ton of responsibilities as just a product line manager. As a product line manager, my primary role was to provide inspirations, working with the design team and the development team, and creating the best product that we could create. And it was interesting because you had the game shoe, which was one shoe that was built around what we needed to build for Michael. But as we started to grow the business and create other products, it was about how do you build things in Michael's likeness, but yet make them relevant to other players or athletes that are within the brand.
So was that the same type position you, I guess, what was it, creative director? Was that later on down?
Yeah, no. So from the product line manager role, there was a footwear product director role, which is basically, as the business started to grow, I brought in other product line managers who worked underneath me, and then I had to oversee them. Then it became a footwear business director role, where I was in charge of all of the design team, all of the development team, and all of the product marketing team. Excuse me. I had all of those guys underneath me. And so that was really kind of having the responsibilities of kind of leading a team of 26 people and having influence over about another 60 people.
Okay. So I guess that's the position where most people that's probably watching this are familiar with you for decisions that you had to make on a certain product or whatever, whether people loved you or disliked you for it, you still had to make that decision at the end of the day because it's a business to grow the brand.
I think what a lot of people don't realize is that, as you start to develop a business, there are emotional decisions that you can make, and there are business decisions that you can make. And I think many times, while deep down you want to make the emotional decision because you believe it's the right thing to do, sometimes the business decision wins over. And there are a lot of things that factor into doing the right thing for the business, whether it's trying to do things that are going to help sustain the brand long term. There's a lot of short-term decisions that you can make that might be right, but at the end of the day, that might not be the best thing for the long-term benefits of the brand.
What would you say are something that comes to mind that was probably one of your most difficult or most challenging moments?
Man, well, there's so many challenges day to day. I mean, there's always pressure on building the Air Jordan game shoe. I mean, we look at it as trying to build the best shoe in the industry from a performance standpoint. And there's a lot of pressure that comes with it when you have the history that we have with the Air Jordan. So that's one. But I think more than anything, it's just the day-to-day pressures of deal with the kind of politics of the business and the emotional side that we talked about earlier. You know, I was that kid that loved basketball, loved Jordan from day one. So I was the consumer, and so I feel like there's a lot of things that I wanted, decisions that I wanted to make that were based off of the same love for the consumer, love for the brand. There were times that I wanted to make the decision to do those things, but from a business standpoint, I had to do other things. And so, you know, being very strategic in how you attack certain problems, issues, politics around the business is the most difficult part of the job.